Today, you are going to get an incredible front row seat to the memorable career of 1995 Rugby World Cup champion Chris Rossouw. Chris, welcome to Front Row Rugby.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, just before we get started, let's take a look at this week's trivia question. In 2005, Tonderai Chavanga set a new individual record for tries scored in one test. How many did he score? Now, if you know the answer, you can put it in the comment section down below, and we'll also find out if Chris knows the answer, but we'll do that at the end of our conversation. Chris, let's go back to 1995. Tell me, how were you feeling ahead of your debut for the Springboks against Western Samoa?
Oh, you know what, Peter, when you basically hear that you are a Springbok, first thing you do is you basically, that's your dream come true. And then your dream becomes the reality. So one is the dream. Okay, the dream is, can I play for the Boks? And then the day actually come closer and closer where you've got to have this intro to become a Springbok and have your first day at the office, So no, it was like, I remember still, I was in a room with Osdi Rand in Midrand. And the morning I was doing a bit of push-ups and the day or the Friday before, he said to me, "Hey, Chris, man, you should have done this long before." I said, "Hey, buddy, it's my first test. I need to be super and ready for it." So I remember that, and I was very focused and very, when you get selected, you've got a responsibility to not only play for yourself, and then you play for your country. And you feel much more privileged and I don't know what you say, humble, basically.
Chris, it was quite a journey for you because about a year before that moment, you were probably third at Transvaal, as they were still called in those days, behind Uli Schmidt and James Dalton. So to go from third at your province to at least number 2 in the country, what an incredible journey.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible journey. I don't know what was the reason. The guys had a faith in me. I think where I was coming from the Bulls, I played for the Bulls before, and then they selected me in Transvaal those days, or the Lions, and I was then part of the team. And my credentials was I have played along for the Bulls at Hooker. And at those days, the guys coming from Pretoria formed a strong unity, and also the Lion guys. And it was like the team to play for, So it was very easy to fit into that team. And that team made me good. I've never been good, but to play in a team full of stars, you become a star. So I was lucky in 95. Unlucky for Uli Schmidt, which was my personal hero in my life, and he was actually changing the whole game of hooker play. He was tremendous in the way he played. So then he got an injury; he couldn't play. You can imagine he was a number 1 hooker; he couldn't play. And then, then I got selected out of nowhere. My brother also played that day when they announced the teams, and he is Charles Rossouw. So when they announced the teams, they said C. Rossouw, but he came out at the hooker position. So then we thought, wow, it's Charles, well done, and he played for the Lions that day, and he did well. And they said, no, it's not Charles, it's you, it's Chris. Wow, how could this be? So I was, it shows you that you must always be ready. And if the ball hops in your hands, then you've got to take the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, Chris, I've heard from some of the Springboks that have been on this show that those pre-World Cup training camps were torture. How would you describe them?
Yeah, I think there's a very famous photo which made, if you've got pretty boys in your team, like Andre Joubert and James Small and Joos van der Westhuizen, and they've got the six-pack stomachs, and they're running without clothes, and we've been training so hard, and we're so tired, but then they can run without their shirts, and they look well, and then all the girls likes us, and so they're promoting us, No, we train very hard. In the amateur era, I don't think it's the same today. I think the guys are probably, we can't play those big guys today in that amateur era of mine. But for the time that we were playing, we were quite fit, and we trained. In fact, we trained to accept that we have to play over our normal 80 minutes. We have to play for 100 minutes. So we trained for 100 minutes. So I must say, when you have if I look at how the local Irish playing and Rassi and the guys, how they get coached, coaching have evolved a lot. And our coach at those years had the foresight, which was Kitch Christie, to train for, make it extra tough, but I'm sure everybody prepares well for a World Cup. But we felt that we trained harder. Anyway.
Your first match at the World Cup was against Romania. I think going into that match, a lot of people expected that we would win by a large margin, but we actually struggled to get going against them. What was it about them that was so tough?
Yeah, I always thought myself, how could you struggle? Now I want to become the number one hooker. And now we're playing a game and we're struggling in the bloody game, and yes, it doesn't, it doesn't help me to get into the team if you don't play well and nothing works well, But I think we put so much emphasis on our first game, which were the World Cup, Australia, with the world champs, and we've beaten them in Newlands. And I think for winning those, we were, like I said, amateurs. I think it drained us so much. Maybe we didn't focus too much on Romania, So, and if you look at Romania those years, I mean, to be honest, it's almost like South Africa now got two teams to represent us in the World Cup. Then we basically playing these Romanians for them to win, to beat us, always to beat the better guy. But we should have beaten them by big margin. And it was just those things of the South African mentality. Give us the big games and we perform. Give us the bad games and we don't perform, So that's typical us,
Indeed. Now, after that Romania match, we came up against Canada, and we all know about the Battle of Boet Erasmus and the sightings and the sendings off. And at that stage, I know that Kitch Christie wanted to call up John Allen, but he was injured, and so Narka Drotsky was called up instead. Was it clear to you at that stage that you were going to be the number one hooker for the rest of the tournament?
You know what? There wasn't any certainties, there wasn't any certainties. I think nobody comes to you and say to you, this is certain that you're going to play. But what I think is, in fact, I always knew about John Allen, but I never ever asked him until I read about it the other day, where he said that they called him. And then he played that match, and then he sticked in the match where he was playing, and he teared his calf muscle. The last 5 minutes of that game. So, to be honest, Peter, I don't know, maybe the gods were with me. I don't know why. I'll put John Allen now. He was astute. He was an experienced guy. In fact, he had test experience, played for Scotland. So he could have easily, and he would have been definitely the man in the saddle, But then his calf was teared. Okay, so it left me and Narka Drotsky, so it was a battle between me and Narka. I think for my advantage, because I played in Transvaal and for the Lions, those guys were more comfortable or more, we played together more. And that made a bit of an edge for me. Although Narka was the number one in Free State, I was the number two at Lions those years. But I have played before them at the Bulls, and I played a few provincial games at the Bulls. So I also got to add a pedigree, although number two in Transvaal wasn't like I was playing my first introduction into Currie Cup rugby. I had 2 seasons at the Bulls that I played. But I haven't, I wouldn't have, I think, lifted John Allen. John Allen was definitely more experienced.
Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with Kitch Christie.
Yeah, so you can imagine how he must have loved me or trusted me. And put somebody to put his trust in you. He called me and said, Chris, now James is now, look, James wasn't officially out yet. there was a court case, and they had to go there. So I thought I could play, but then they mentioned about all these guys that they want to bring in, and yeah, you're not sure. And then those weeks before, it was like, will he come back? When they come back, and eventually they got suspended. And then Kitch, he called me and said, Chris, you got to take the responsibility. And that's what I like about some of my mentor coaches, which he was definitely one of them. And when he said, Chris, we need to give you this responsibility. You need to take it and have the confidence that I'm backing you. Because, you must understand, the coach must not select you as number one. Then he's now dependent on me. But then he's giving me his whole faith in me. I said, Chris, I'm believing in you. Yeah, so that's the way that he did it made you a commitment to yourself. So I think it's a more a psychology game that you have to commit to yourself to not disappoint this coach of mine, this mentor of mine's trust. And the way that he did it is so true and so respectful that, actually, if you have a right coach, then somebody will die, because you put your body on the line. My neck is still today broken for those hits in the scrums, but that's what you do. If a coach motivates you, that's what you play for, your coach and your teammates, and that's what rugby is about. So yeah, he put faith in me, he put his trust in me, and then the guilt was on me not to disappoint him. And so yeah, well done to him, to having the foresight or the trust in me and the belief in me.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, why not consider becoming a patron? It's my dream, guys, to do this full time, and with a small financial contribution, you can help me realize that dream. The link and the QR code is appearing on your screen right now, and I'll also put it down in the description area for you to go and click on at a later stage if you would like to do so. And by becoming a patron, I promise there will be great benefits for members. Now let's get back to the interview. Chris, I have to ask you, in the quarterfinal against Western Samoa, you scored a try in that match. You also scored a try against the same opponent on your test debut. Was there a part of you that was thinking, I would like to play against these guys every time?
I think because it was my first test against the Samoans, we were supposed to beat them, okay, the warm-up game. So we relaxed and we play, and it's new guys playing now, and so for me, it was like I wanted to show that I can play the game, and because you don't want to disappoint people. Once you step into a Willie Schmidt's shoes and James Dalton at that stage, you also want to earn the respect from the people and for yourself. So I don't know, Samoa, it was probably just like I wanted to be there for the last pass. I used to be a flanker, and I used to be quite fast over the pitch. I wanted to get that last pass, and I got it, against Samoa, the first test. And then the quarterfinals, the same thing. When they passed me the ball, they kicked the ball, and I just had to run. And I thought, man, let me just run over these oaks, because I wanted to score. Because then it becomes the quarterfinals. Now it becomes quite important, and the whole country now focus on you. Now I want to show that really I make the step up. But I was lucky because we are 15 guys that can tip the ball to anybody. It fell in my hands. I can still remember. I don't think the ball would have been stopped me then. So yeah, lucky 2 tries against Samoa. My 2 games against them.
That's a great story, Chris. Leading into the Rugby World Cup final that year, the week leading in, how nervous were you?
The hype on the public is much more than the hype in the camp. In the camp, it's another day, it's another game, it's another preparation, it's another structure. And Kitch was very clever. They took us away, and afterwards we heard that, they phoned our families, please don't speak to them about newspapers. And so we were kind of cut off from the outside world. So especially the final, we went to Sun City. I don't know why Sun City. We went to Sun City because it was quiet there. And we trained, was totally, there's no photographers, nobody. So we were taken away. And when we came back, it was only the I think it was a Thursday or so before the final. So we were, I don't know, out of the hype a bit. Normally there's newspapers on the doors for the hotel. There was nothing on our doors. But I saw how I got some of the news is on the one floor where the rugby players didn't stay. I got off on the wrong floor. And so it's all newspapers hanging, but there's no newspapers on our floors. So that was the only way we could. And then the cell phones were just out. I mean, the Motorola's was as big as it's like a big thing, and it's like a loaf of bread. And so we didn't speak too much to our people, and we were kind of isolated. And I think we were very relaxed, and we didn't realize that. I spoke to my dad, my mother sometimes, and they said, "How's it going with Andre Joubert?" I said, "Oh, why? Because he's eating every day. He's here around us." And no, his hand, it's broken. Sure, I didn't know his hand is broken, so I heard from the people that Andre's hand is broken. So they didn't make a fuss. They didn't play the media to control the emotions of our team and ourselves. But the closer it got, obviously information leaks out and guys, scared. There's a lot of stories I can tell you about, how we prepared beforehand. But the one thing I wanted to tell you was, as it gets closer and closer to the game, then you start, picking up different things, especially the one thing. If you allow me, if I can carry on. Okay. They, Kitch Christie's final, first we saw our, normally the structure, we see the opponents and we look at all their weaknesses, we do a SWOT analysis on them. Our coach came in and Jonah Loma just ran over Michael Catt 100 times. I don't think Michael Catt made somersaults the whole game. And now we have to play against this monster of a Jonah Loma, which his legs is like tractor tire. Now we look at him, our coach came in and said, "No, this guy's beatable." And he didn't even pay a lot of attention to the fact that they were demolishing England in that semi-finals. And it wasn't disrespectful, but he wasn't really putting that emphasis on Jonah Loma. He said, no, we must be careful, but this guy is beatable, And he stood up and he walked out. And he didn't pay respect for us to look at the game like normally, we look at the game and, the guys are kicking and blah, blah, blah. And we look at phrases of the game, where they're good and scrum and line-ups. No, nothing. Coach is gone. So, sitting and say, okay, let's look further. So we looked through the game. But that gave us a kind of he planted the seed, gave us a kind of confidence. Say, no, we've got a plan. And it's okay, look at it, but we've got a plan. So afterwards, probably I can't say what the plan were, but, then afterwards they said, a big guy. Don't like to pick a ball up when it's turning his back to the enemy. So we have to kick the ball just behind him. And then we've got to be on top of him. So that if he gets the ball, you have to turn around first and face us. And then we just tackle him here from all sides. So that was our game plan. But I don't think we ever did it because we were so focused on whatever, to just play and make him a normal person. And don't worry about one individual, that actually we were so fired up. We've got a plan. We never used a plan probably, but we've got a plan.
Now that's wonderful, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. Tell me, what does it feel like when the referee blows the final whistle and you are a Rugby World Champion?
Yeah, look, Peter, if I can get that emotion back again, it's a very, I don't know, it's a very defined emotion. Yeah, you're working for weeks, country, the hype, the people in the stadium, airplane flying over the stadium. We watch what's happening. We thought it's a bomb because of, just coming out of our elections and our apartheid, and we didn't know what's going on. Suddenly it's an airplane going over, and the hype, it's in the people, and you can see the hope. The end whistle blows. So what must you do? must you jump. We're so happy. We ran. We grab each other. And then suddenly a humbleness falls over you. And we are Christians, and we then don't know what to do because we're ecstatic. Our captain went on his knees. He was just like, and then we all got together and saying thank you. I mean, what for these weeks and building up and put your body on the line and worked hard. Now you're happy. You're the champion. Hey, you're the champion. So now you want to run, but you also are humble. You don't know, that mix of emotions. Some guys crying, some guys laughing, some guys cheering. Yes, where are you? So, we all went down. Then I think that gave us a bit of focus again to say a prayer and just thanks for not for winning, but thanks for us just finishing this game. Thanks for taking us through the game, and we just actually pay a tribute on our humbleness. And that gave us a bit of sense at that stage. And we're greeting obviously the All Blacks. It wasn't really nice for them at that stage because you're happy, you want to laugh, say thank you for the game, and we're laughing. But hey, they don't not in a laughing spirit. They don't want to laugh. They want to shake their hands. And but anyway, so that emotion, jumping, happy, cry, shout. It was emotion. I can still feel it today.
That's amazing. Chris, you were then out of the picture for 4 years. You only returned in 1999 during the Tri-Nations just before the 99 World Cup. How good was it to be back?
It was so privileged when Nick Mallet selected me, and he also, I respect him for giving me the credit. He said he couldn't keep me out of the World Cup because I was playing well week in, week out, and I wanted to make a point to get back into the World Cup team. There was a drought for 4 years due to injuries and also other guys taking the sports up, and you can't come back into the team, and dynamics change. How nice was that to be in a second World Cup. So then I played my other games, my other Bok games. I've got more World Cup games in my life than normal Bok games. So it was very nice. The ball didn't hop so well in my hands, and also for the team. We lost there with a Larkin kicking a drop goal. He's not known as a kicker. It's a vurvur kick. It's not even a pretty kick, but he got it over, and they won the World Cup. And so it was such a privilege to be part of that squad also.
Chris, as you mentioned, most of your matches were actually World Cup games, very few actually outside of the tournament. Let's talk about a youngster growing up, dreaming of playing for the Springboks. And I think that most of those kids think that they will play for 5 years, for 10 years, play 50 tests, play 100 tests, but maybe it'll be less than 10, as was the case for you. What would your advice be to those kids?
Yeah, I think rugby is a very, very, very nice game. I can see it's really growing very fast, and which is a very good thing. Rugby is it's not guarantee that you can make it in nowadays. I think guys are super athletes. South Africa could fear some locks at this moment. So you don't know if you're young, how long you're going to be, how tall you're going to be, how fast you're going to be, and how your genetics works out. I think to become a Springbok, it's more, I would say, more luck, because everybody's good. And if you are playing the right team, and you're having the right maybe games and the right game plan that will suit you, you can get selected. But I can tell you there are so many people that got the dreams to become a Bok. And there was a stat out that I think of the guys playing national colours at school level, primary school. I think it's not even 2% that makes it through to provincial level. And then when you have provincial, it's a very slight percentage that will make it through to the box. I think we looked at stats some of the time. So to become a Springbok, it's really become odd. you can't say as a school boy, but the other side of the coin is if you don't train and coming through the systems, getting exposed to it from a young age. A Pollard played at all school levels and becoming the world best. So you get the Pollards, you get those guys. When I did think that schoolboys will become, you can see the age gap. I think our average age in 95, age was like 28 years old. I was 25 then. I think now the age is much younger. I think 25 is an old guy currently playing almost. So you can see that from schoolboy, you go up, the schoolboy rugby in South Africa is tough. But to become a Bok, and like us, we played, you become a Bok and you could stay long a Bok. Nowadays, injuries, impact tackles, you can become the best. You are the best and you can have a very bad injury. So it's so many things that have to be right for you. That I can't say there's no guarantees, but obviously if you don't have the dream, you won't play it, you won't do it. You've got a dream that you can become a Bok, and you can. Nobody said no.
Chris, this is something that my viewers love to know. Who was your toughest opponent?
Yeah, I think in my life, I had the privilege to play against Sean Fitzpatrick, and I also played against, I forgot his name for the moment, but anyway, Sean Fitzpatrick was, for me personally, a very big privilege to play against. And I think being in the World Cup final and playing against him in the World Cup final got to be my personal, my best opponent. He was a captain. He wanted to win more than any other body in his team. So for me, playing Sean Fitzpatrick probably as powerful because he was not that young anymore. Probably not the strongest, but the most competitive and the biggest privilege anyway to play against him. He's such an icon even today, and to be able to play against him in a final was definitely for me the highlight and the toughest opponent in my life.
Is there a player at the moment who you would say that you admire?
Yeah, look, I admire all the Bok hookers because I'm a hooker. All of them are tough. I really think that they are really my heroes today, and the whole Bok team, But if I look at, if I can mention one guy that I'm glad I'm not playing against, is Malcolm Marx. I'm very glad don't have to play against him. But then Bongi is just as good, and then I think it would have been a privilege if I could have played in a team where Malcolm is playing, because Al is a class hooker. I really think we're fortunate to have a hooker like him. It's such a pity that he's out of the World Cup. So I like the hookers in the team. They're special people. They always make jokes about hookers, but there's no team without a hooker, and all hookers are the same. They are the glue of the team. And you need a hooker. Always need a hooker. Hooker is the most fearsome guy, and they don't have the least fear. They're different breed. They always put the hookers as the toughest guys. Now, when I'm old guy, I can feel it, my body. but when you're young, you don't feel it.
Absolutely, every team needs a hooker. Chris, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, I'm a farmer. I'm exporting blueberries. We are grain farmers in Delmas, and I've got a maize mill. And in a broader family, my brothers, they have eggs, chicken eggs that we're distributing, and also on the low veld we've got citrus. So we have diverse farming family. Although my brothers are all doctors and we are business people per se, and that keeps me busy, keeps me out of mischief. And the blueberries we export, so we rugby helped us to open the doors in life to be able to travel to New Zealand and Australia and the UK, and even more. The guys are traveling much more. There are more unions coming to play rugby. So I'm a farmer, and that's my full-time occupation. Yeah.
So you said it keeps you out of mischief, Chris. I have to ask you then, is there a particularly funny moment that you can share with us from your time with the Springboks?
Sure. We always had, always got jokers in the team. And I always remember, and it's a story that used to be told a lot of times, but at a stage of Rudolf Strahl, he had a Mark Andrews bed. Mark is also like a very focused guy. And they went out and they bought one of the snooks, and they put the snook in his bed. And when he came back the night and he opened it, it was such a laugh for us. And it was a funny moment in our, always we refer back to that. So Mark, when he woke up, and this bloody snook was here next to him, I think they put the snook behind him while they were sleeping. And so we always laugh and say, "Oh, Mark, what happened when you turn around? You see this fish in front of you, Why did you take that fish to bed? Why did you do this?" And Mark, we always had a go at him. But he was a very fun guy, so he took it as a good joke. And there's hundreds and millions of jokes. I mean, rugby teams are made of guying with people, putting making jokes out of everybody in situations. You've got to kill time, and time sometimes become bored. And once you're bored, you have a go at each other. So you've got to have a strong stomach to be a tour player, to go on tour, rugby is always a beautiful sport.
Absolutely. Sounds good to me. Chris, we're going to finish off by looking again at the trivia question from earlier. In 2005, Tonderai Chavanga set a new individual record for tries scored in one test. How many did he score? Do you know the answer, Chris?
I think I know the answer. It was a remarkable moment. That's why I think I know it. Can I give it?
Please do.
Yeah, I think it was 5 tries that he scored.
All right. So, Chris, you know what? You're very close. It was actually 6.
It was 6 tries. Yeah. Damn. Was it 6? Yeah. I know it was not 4. Yeah. So I thought, I can remember it was 6. Yeah. He was so elusive that day. I can remember all the tries that he scored. And so the record, he got a nice record there.
Chris, let me say, it was lovely having you on Front Row Rugby today, and such a privilege and an honor to listen to some of those stories from the old days. And I really hope that we can have you on again in the future.
Thanks for having me, Peter. Good luck on your business. Thank you very much.
Last time on Front Row Rugby, Tux van der Linde was my guest. You can go and watch that video. It's appearing on your screen right now. Next time, another 1995 Rugby World Cup champion will be here, Johan Roux.